So we compiled a ton of questions that we've been getting a lot doing press and just kind of looking at what's kind of going on online and some of the questions that everybody's kind of had. And we just kind of wanted to take you guys a little bit through the process of kind of how this Timeless EP came about, as well as just kind of how the differences, how we've been doing things this past year and how it's kind of affected us. So we're gonna jump right in, and I guess the first thing is a lot of the times we get asked how much of this EP has come from new ideas, or was there anything that has been in like the Of Mice vault for a while? Like, where did these songs come from?
No, we did them over Zoom on Twitch.
Yeah,
lots of troubleshooting.
Yeah, I think they all started since the pandemic hit. I don't think any of the songs were in the vault, so to speak, since before March of last year, right? We all started working on them together when we all started getting locked down and you know, filling our time with writing with each other on Zoom, and then subsequently over Twitch and stuff like that. So I think they were all pretty new, fresh ideas inspired by us kind of being locked down.
For sure. I think they're actually chronological too, if I'm not mistaken, because Obsolete was written first, then Timeless, then Anchor. So I think it was just kind of like as we were like finishing one song and trying to get ideas together for the next song, they just kind of started to come about in like just kind of in, I guess, in a row like that. And it ended up being pretty cool. Now that things are all separated, like we're all separated and everything still, let's kind of explain a little bit of how the writing process works between us and kind of how things are positive and negative with working remotely and like how things have changed, I guess.
It's an interesting question. Yeah. So, I mean, it was definitely a huge learning process in terms of figuring out how to work on music remotely, as opposed to, you know, every other record we've ever done. We've picked up our lives and gone into a studio together and lived there and breathed each other's air and ate each other's food, you know, and then working on this music separately from our own home studios was definitely, I feel like I said this before, like every time we do a record, I feel like I learn something. And with doing this EP, we definitely learned how to become more tech savvy in terms of...
that would definitely be like one of the biggest hindrances is understanding all the technology of like routing the audio to the Zoom, to the this, to the that, and the latency and the this. And where normally we just kind of like jump right in because either we have all of our computers and our instruments there to be able to just get going. And this one took, like, as you guys have seen here, a lot of troubleshooting, and we don't necessarily know how to do all that stuff. So that was like, I'd say the hardest learning curve. But once we got in the zone though, the writing was not dissimilar to how it is when we're all together at the studio kind of working on music.
Yeah, I think it's cool too because from a big picture perspective, we're in a place now where it's like, I think it's a bit more creatively freeing, being able to be like, oh, I have an idea, let's hop on and work on it all together at any time. Like, we can just do that now. We don't have to plan, we don't have to rent out a studio months in advance and rent out a hotel and like all that stuff. It's pretty cool to just be able to be like, hey, you know, there's an idea, let's all just hop on Zoom or Discord and work on it together. You know, it was definitely a pretty cool sort of pivot to how we normally write music.
Well, and the studio that we were working out of also like sold recently and closed. So
yeah.
Or it's
I don't know if it's sold, but
RIP hybrid.
So I mean, it makes sense as the future moves towards a more digitized and digital workspace, just in general for most jobs and industries. You know, I think creating music's kind of no different. So we can just hop on Discord or Zoom and work on ideas and send project files back and forth. And I don't think it was as easy to do even like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but like, I don't know if you're willing to troubleshoot video and audio problems, but
I think it's definitely been a lot more cost effective as well.
Yeah.
So what made us want to use Twitch to like stream the recording sessions and like the writing and stuff like that? And how influenced were we from chat and like the people that were kind of there with us? I mean, and a lot of the people in the chat were there when we were writing these songs too, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, shout out chat. Thank you guys, first of all.
But like
shout out Nightbot.
Yeah, shout out Nightbot.
I mean, for me personally, I think it was like when COVID hit, obviously everyone gets locked down and we can't really travel and like see each other and hang out. Twitch was a way to sort of connect and interact with people live in a digital realm. So I think that's like sort of was a cool, like, how do we still connect with people who listen to the band, and how do we interact with fans and stuff in sort of a live, like, how do we be live and interact with these people in a digital realm? And I didn't even really know much about Twitch before COVID hit, and then discovering Twitch and stuff, I was like, man, we could totally do this and like either work on music or just talk to people and stuff like that. And then once we figured out how to actually start writing music and stream it on Twitch with zero latency and stuff, that was just awesome. And the energy we got from people being able to be there and be like, give us positive affirmation when we're writing music and stuff like that was just awesome. Like, that was something we've never experienced before. When we write a record in a studio, there's not like a group of 100 fans in there being like, yeah, this is sick. Like, that just, that
if anything, the producer's like, this sucks.
Yeah. Usually it's the opposite of that. So like, personal feelings wise, it's been very positive having everyone in chat be able to hang out and contribute in whatever way it is to while we're writing music and stuff like that. At least for me personally.
I think it's literally a community, and when we go out on tour and we're out playing shows and festivals and stuff, we're in a community, we're in like mini cities with like mini populations and stuff like that. And it's like this community of like, we're all here for the same reason. We're all here to like rock out and have a good time and, whatever. And I think with Twitch, it kind of gave us that a little bit more of a sense of community where like we have each other and we have our team, but like, our fans play such a huge part in the music creative process, and they don't even realize it, because it's like they play the part when they're losing their minds to a certain part of the song or doing something like that, which inspires us to then be like, oh, we want to expand on that feeling when we're writing. And I think having Twitch there and the Twitch community and everybody that uses this medium has been awesome. And it just kind of feels like, it's like kind of like our family again. Which is what it feels like when we're on the road and we're with our fans every day. What lyrical themes are you talking about on this EP?
A lot of this record deals with impermanence and sort of the multitude of ways that you can feel about impermanence, whether it's your impermanence, the impermanence of things you love or people you love. A song like Obsolete sort of takes the it's sort of, maybe being angry about the idea of impermanence, because it's sort of like the visceral response to it. Timeless is sort of the more, I guess, romantic view of impermanence, in that, the idea of, a timeless film or what we say is timeless beauty, or timeless love. And then I think Anchor is sort of the desperate reaction towards impermanence, because you can't do anything about it. So I think one is the angry reaction, one is the desperate reaction, and one is sort of more of the romantic understanding and reaction. But it all is about impermanence, because as you get older, you become faced with it more and more often. So it becomes something that you're more keenly aware of. So I think even before the pandemic happened, it was it's just something that I think all human beings can relate to, because human beings are impermanent,
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I mean, speak for yourself. I'm going to live forever.
God bless you.
What about Nightbot?
Yeah, Nightbot will be here.
Nightbot is gonna live forever.
Nightbot will be here when we're all gone.
Nightbot's gonna have kids. Nightbot Junior, Nightbot Senior, Nightbot the Third. You know what I mean? They're all gonna be there.
I'm gonna set a Nightbot timer to say hello from beyond the grave for me forever. So I'll just forever be haunting Twitch.
Nightbottington.
Nightbot.
Did the pandemic and quarantine and everything that kind of went down last year, did that have any influence on the like sonics or themes of the EP at all?
Kind of, but also kind of not. I think that was just sort of another example of how, you know, maybe a global example of how impermanent everything can be, including the stuff you take for granted on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Like going outside. You know what I mean? Like, I think in reality, while it does impact it, I think it was more so about the overall idea of impermanence rather than maybe just the myopic view of what the pandemic has taken away from, you know, millions of people around the world, whether it's jobs or loved ones or
for sure
time, you know, because that's another thing too, is time. That's time you don't get back. I was thinking about it, you know, when we go back out on tour, it's like I'm going to be 33. That's touring at 33 is harder than touring at 32, which is harder than touring at 31, you know, so you don't really get time back in a way too. Right. So I was glad that we got to spend a lot of our time, you know, doing, you know, meaningful things with our fans and working on music and furthering that conversation.
Absolutely. I totally agree. What was the first riff that we came up with for this EP?
I think it was Obsolete, right? The intro?
Obsolete.
Yeah, because the Obsolete is a sister song to Earth and Sky. And it kind of sort of has the same sort of vibe with the ethereal sort of guitar lead intro into the breakdown or whatever. So
definitely.
The working title for that song was Earth and Sky Part 2. And then that became Obsolete when lyrical content came to be or whatever, but that was definitely the first song and the first riff I think that we worked on out of these 3 songs from the new EP.
I think because the pandemic sidelined us too, we were still so much in Earth and Sky realm when we got sidelined that we were still like, oh, this album's so good, how are we gonna freaking top these songs? Like, there's so much like good stuff on here that we were really excited about, that when we kind of got sidelined and it was like, hey, let's start working on new music, it was like, well, dang. Like, we gotta let's I guess we'll get started. And I think a lot of it. What's
up?
Sorry. No, go ahead.
It's interesting too, because now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like Earth and Sky was really well received. I feel like people really liked, you know, the sort of aesthetic of that record and the sound and the tonality of it. But I think that when we first started writing new music, we were like, how can we continue off of that? So Obsolete was like the most like Earth and Sky-y song, and then we just sort of like started getting experimental with it after that in terms of writing Timeless and then Anchor, and each one of those songs sort of progresses in terms of like new shit that we tried, you know what I'm saying, like sort of different sound, whether it's sound effects or, you know, the verses or the riffs or anything like that. So I just realized that right now it's pretty cool to think that chronologically we just kind of got a little bit more experimental as the writing for the EP went on.
Yeah,
and I think that was influenced by sitting at home, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Whereas Earth and Sky was influenced by what songs are we going to play when we go on these huge metal festivals.
What do we want to play at Wacken?
Yeah.
That was like exactly what we were saying.
As opposed to sitting down and writing the rest of those songs here and being like, how are we going to make this sound crazy in headphones, you know, with some weird sort of shit we can do.
What's everyone's favorite riff from the EP? Of all 3 songs.
I like Obsolete. The verses for Obsolete make me want to drive a really fast car.
I agree with that.
Obsolete's a good driving song. So
I love that. Not really a riff, but a groove. I love the dotted eighths in the breakdown at the end. Dun 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 dun. Every time I hear it, I'm like, ugh. That's the face. That's the face I do. It's just like. There you go.
Your favorite lyric.
Your favorite lyric.
No. Probably oh so impermanent, but I swear to God that we're timeless. I think that the only thing that lasts forever are our memories and the love that we create and the connections that we create. If you believe in that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think some of the things that human beings regard as being timeless are some of the most impermanent things. Like take classic movies for example. You think about a film like Casablanca or something, it's regarded as like one of the most timeless films of all time. And if you think about the actual celluloid that movie was recorded on, like I wonder if it still exists because of how fragile it is, and someday it won't, because someday nothing will. Yeah, so it's kind of just an interesting dichotomy.
Nice.
I just made that word up, by the way.
Nice.
All right, on 3, everybody say what song each one of us is most looking forward to playing live. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, and then you guys say it. Okay.
I almost said it right there. I almost said it right there.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Anchor.
Oh. Okay. One more time. 1, 2, 3.
Second and Sebring.
Obsolete.
Obsolete.
All right. That was good.
Nice. Any of them, man. I can't wait to get out and play any. I'll play any song if we get to play a show, man. I just can't wait.
Did somebody say freaking Twinkle Twinkle just now?
Yeah,
Alan did.
Oh my God.
I'm having a silly goose time.
That was a Twinkle Toes.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
Probably obsolete for real though. I mean,
for sure.
I think that song's so like.
It's got the energy, man.
In your face.
Yeah.
People definitely be crowd
surfing. It's got the energy, man. It's got the energy,
also,
man.
it's been pretty insanely well received, like on the radio and stuff like that. We didn't even plan on that. So we just
speak for yourself. In my head, I was like, this is a #1 smash hit.
Sure.
Bigger than Beyonce.
I'm so glad.
Bigger than Kesha.
I'm so glad our plan is just hatched in Alan's head.
Bigger than any song ever in my it's not even done. It's going to #1, not even alt rock radio. It's going to go to #1 pop radio, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, we're just going to do a remix that has Cardi B on it, and then we're golden.
That's
I like
pretty
that, actually.
sick.
Yeah, Obsolete featuring Cardi B and DaBaby.
yeah.
Outside of the remote recording of the EP, the songs have largely been worked on in batches, which is different to how we previously recorded. How do we feel the pros and cons of this are, and do you think it is something that we would do again?
Pros are that you have basically unlimited access to whatever you're working on whenever you're working on it. There is no like, oh, I wish I could just listen to that and think of something. It's like, oh, I gotta wait till tomorrow when I go back and listen.
When I go back in the studio. For sure. I mean, I could attest to that too. Like with my drums, having the drums just set up, ready to go, ready to record, as opposed to like in the studio when they're set up for 3 days and the whole album needs to be tracked in 3 days. And once it's done, all those microphones get moved, everything gets shuffled around. We need the live room for this or for that. And now it's like, the pros are definitely like, my drums are always set up. I've got all the plugins ready to go, unlimited VSTs and resources to
convenient
from drum rooms to snare drums to drum kits to cymbals, all kinds of stuff. It's like, it's basically limitless. So, I mean, that's definitely a pro, not having to go off studio hours and the traditional way of recording records, for sure.
I think too. Yeah. I think too. Something that's interesting is, as a band, we've kind of sort of always written music, even when we weren't in the studio anyway. Like we were never a band that was like, oh, we're not gonna write any music until we get back in the studio. Like even if we were on tour or at home, we'd still be writing music and having ideas. And I think this is just sort of a way of like bringing that to more of like a legit, I don't know how to say it, like this is just how we write music anyway.
I feel like we always write in bunches because we always get, you know, some sort of inspiration from a tour or a concert, and those sort of things kind of give us inspiration in different ways, and we have inspiration from different places. So I feel like writing in bunches is something that we kind of already did, but never really thought about it because we, like Alan said, we're always writing and always have different inspirations from, you know, different tours or different festivals or, you know, anything like that.
Yeah, and what's super interesting too is we've kind of had for a while now, I mean, I'd say since probably around Restoring Force era or towards Full Circle, I guess, the idea of wanting to be able to release EPs in order to get music out like faster and like to be able to kind of like, I guess, adapt with people's like listening styles and be able to kind of like curate their listening to, here's an EP and this is what this is what these songs sound like and here's a vibe. And I think once we signed with Sharptone, they kind of helped us materialize that, and now we're kind of able to work in the work how we used to, which is like get a couple songs together because we're in a vibe, and now we can put those out and it exists.
We are inside of the vibe.
Yeah, we are surrounded and engulfed by the vibe.
I think releasing music like that is exciting. It's something that's exciting to me. The metal world and the rock world has always been album based and record based, but there's nothing wrong with that. I still love records, I still love albums, but it's cool to also feel like if we want to, we can just drop music because we worked on it and it's ready. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
for sure,
here you go, here, you know what I'm saying? Keeping people interested and keeping content coming out and songs coming out. It's just it's something that's exciting to think about. Like, we don't always have to do it the same way. That's exciting to me.
Do you feel like there's any negatives at all, or like, is there in this process?
Not
of the
so
last
far.
Year of, like,
I mean,
writing. Yeah, I mean,
we're in it right now.
I think it's just if you have the patience enough to put up with the technology and troubleshoot it, then kind of not really. That's sort of the only negative, is you don't really have to troubleshoot. You don't have to troubleshoot as much when you're in person as you do when you're zooming.
I will say the con is I miss you dudes. And
oh yeah,
not being
Very
together
true.
Or like in the studio, you know what I mean? That's like, we have a lot of fun playing basketball and making music and skateboarding and listening to music.
We'll get back to it one day. We'll get back to it.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's really the only con is not being able to hang with the dudes, for sure.
Yeah, and there's so much less latency in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm streaming at like 8K in real life, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
It's pretty crazy, dude.
Dude, I'm full bandwidth in real life.
Yeah. Real life is so much more HD than this.
Sonically, where do we feel like this EP sits within the Mice back catalog as a whole? Like, where does...
Ooh, I think Alan hit on it earlier, but I think it sort of pushes beyond Earth and Sky in terms of sonics. But I think songwriting is probably pretty close to that vein. I think it just fits where it fits. I think it's definitely in context of the material we've been working on, you know, just the 7th release.
Yeah, it's definitely a step. It's definitely continuing in the footsteps of Earth and Sky, but with a more confident and experimental stride.
Wow.
Did you just read that? Did you read you
Yeah, where'd
read
you
that,
get that?
didn't you?
I'm professional, baby.
Did you just type that up and read that off a monitor?
Domski.
What? Domski.com. I gotta see where you're getting this content from, bro. It's pretty insane.
No, don't go to domski.com.
Don't go to
Please
Dome.
don't go.
Oh no.
Yeah, we cannot. We can't condone doing that. I don't know what
Don't
that
go
is.
to
Please.
Domski.
I don't even know what that is, but it doesn't sound good.
You're right. It sounds great.
Where do we feel like this EP is going to lead us next sonically?
Probably like off a
cliff.
We know where it's
cliff.
gonna. we know where it's gonna lead us, but should we pretend like we don't?
Yeah. What do you think EP2 will sound like? Do you know?
I think it'll sound like a mix of pop and reggaeton.
I don't know because none of the songs have been written yet.
I can't say for certain, but I am unsure of the future and what it holds for how heavy
You sound
the
like
band will get.
It's like you're being held hostage.
Was there a gun to your back, Tino? Is there a knife or a gun? What is going on? Oh,
tell us.
There is a knife.
Whoa.
Oh, God.
You guys, I'm being
Tell
held
us.
captive by myself.
This is terrifying. He has a knife.
Here's a good one. How did the involvement? Hold on. How did the involvement?
What was that, T?
Here's a good one. How did the hold on?
My eyes jumped around. The font is
Hold
too
on.
small on these, dude. Font is too small. How did the involvement with Derek Hess come about, and were we fans of his work before?
Yeah, Tino, how did it come about?
Well, let me think.
Let me have a good
ponder.
ponder.
Well, Tino was a big fan of his art, yeah.
Yeah. Derek Hess is like definitely an iconic artist in like in the band world of t-shirts and posters and just all things music. So he's like big in the metalcore scene, doing a lot of like the artwork for bands that we listened to in the early 2000s. And once the lyrical ideas were kind of coming about, we felt like his style would be really like helpful to tell the narrative and have it be on a personal level, you know, like somebody drew it, like it's coming from the mind of somebody. And maybe Aaron can expand upon that a little bit, how the artwork and the idea of having Derek working on it, how it all relates lyrically and thematically with the EP.
You know, I think Derek is somebody that his artwork is very emotive, and I think that was sort of important to be complementary to the story that the EP is telling in a way. And I think that because, you know, his artwork has a lot of meaning to us because we were fans of it back in the day, and some of the music that's associated with that. I think it was just sort of perfect that it ended up working out that we could work with him, and we've, you know, created some awesome artwork. So
were there any musicians, artists, movies, or anything of the sort that influenced the sound or themes of this EP?
I mean, I think
I don't know.
always, right? I mean, that's kind of like what inspires me is all
yeah,
that stuff.
I think maybe, yeah, I think just all artwork that we sort of consume and then regurgitate.
Was there any particular monochromatic films that influenced any of these songs?
Nosferatu.
Yeah, for sure.
Nosferatu, Tino.
No,
given that the
Casablanca was
themes
one of them.
and stuff like that are all monochromatic.
I think, yeah, Casablanca was one of them.
What would you say about
Nosferatu,
Casablanca
that's a good
that
one.
could influence a metalcore band in the year 2020?
What?
How does the movie Casablanca from the dinosaur Paleolithic era influence a metalcore band in 2020?
I don't know, drummer. Can you ask more condescendingly?
Oh, what? No, I was just asking.
Band fight,
kidding.
fight.
What is it? What about Casablanca
Joking.
like inspired it? That was all I was asking.
No, I know. No, just in thinking about things like Impermanence, remember when we were on Shiprock? That was like one of the only channels I remember that worked on the TV was the black and white movies. So that was like, for me, that was just I don't know. That's when I started thinking about it, was on Shiprock, and I was like, man, that's really interesting that a lot of these like old movies are still shown, and I wonder if the original like copies of them still exist. That was literally the initial thought, and then that sort of dives into that. I remember like when we were working on Anchor, and you would come up with that sample,
right?
And it was the American. You had called it American Beauty because it sounded like that.
Yeah, it kind of had that vibe of. Funny how like a sound or something in music can trigger a memory of a movie or something that you've seen before, and it just kind of like sticks with you that way. It's pretty cool.
I think it's awesome, and
I love that.
It's And there's so much of that because I think as time goes, you have more of those, you know. It's not just that the first ones become timeless. I think things become timeless over time, which is really antithetical when I just heard it like leave my mouth.
Time becomes time. Time goes on.
Time becomes timeless over time.
Timeless time. Over
It's funny
over time.
how you lose time while time is timing.
Well, Tino, you're out in the desert now, so like there's all kinds of weird time things.
He's in a time
on.
vacuum.
Dude, I'm in a time warp.
Look at his face. He's like going back in time. He's like getting younger.
Yeah, Tino's getting younger.
I'm Benji, dude.
He's Benjamin buttoning us.
Yeah,
Maybe
dude.
Tino.
Either that or that shirt has just given him a glow of confidence.
That's what I think it is.
It's my spring colors, guys. I'm adding.
I love it.
Color to my.
I can't wait to come out to the desert and drink like a Mai Tai with you in that shirt or something.
Yeah, dude. Going to.
You know, you gotta go golfing. You know what I mean? Hit the tiki lounge.
I can't wait. I can't wait until this is your least colorful shirt.
I know. I was actually.
Because you're on your way.
I know. I definitely am on my way. I'm pretty excited. I had a dream about a new shirt that doesn't exist, but I'm gonna have to find it. And it's white.
Whoa.
It's weird. Yeah.
T's out here becoming a fashion.
Wait, hold on a second. Wait, hold on a second.
Icon.
Wait, are you talking white tea as in like the song
what do
Them
you
Franchise
call
Boys?
it's like
Bang in my
base
white
color
tee.
white,
Slang
like
in
an orange
the
and-
knife.
What's up with the knife? What's up with the knife? Why you?
going with
What's
the
up
knife?
with that?
Like,
Why
you
you?
can use a
Yo.
finger.
All right,
Use a finger.
So here's the
Just
thing.
Just like
boys.
holding the knife, you're just like,
We're gonna figure out. We're gonna figure out what's going on right now, T. Encyclopedia of 20,000.
Yeah, hold on.
John dropping 5 gifted subs in the chat. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Yeah, John, thank you.
Dude, yeah, Phil.
You know, it's like a white tee, but like, you know,
Look at that
not
little,
white.
Look at that little thing, dude. That thing's so cute.
Look at this. Watch this.
It's the world's smallest butterfly knife.
So what's up with Sharp Tone? How did that come about? Are we stoked? How's the process been with the old tones that are sharp?
It's been great. Yeah, it's been great so far.
It's been nice to move to, you know, as you know, everyone knows, we've been on Rise Records for 10 years, and we did really well. We did really great. We did, you know, almost everything you could accomplish as a band with them. They had our backs, but, you know, time has to move on. And I've asked this to a lot of people. I was like, could you imagine if you had like a job or a relationship for 10 years? And a lot of like my friends are like, oh my God, like I couldn't imagine having like a job relationship for 10 years that, you know, was successful, because, you know, with life, a lot of jobs come and go, and, you know, Rise stuck with us. So shout out to Rise Records, but it's been awesome being on Sharp Tone, a new team, fresh team, different bands, different genres. So it feels like we're part of a new team, and it's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they've been very supportive of however we've wanted to do things thus far, which is basically all you can ask from a label. So it's been great, yeah.
Also, check out their bands too. Their bands are super sick. They've got a lot of up and coming metalcore bands, and I definitely say that they are the metalcore label out there right now. So if you guys are looking for new music, or you like what we're doing and you want to check out some other bands, definitely check out their roster. We're proud to wave that Sharp Tone flag, and you know, be the metalcore heads that we are. This is a pretty rhetorical question, but how has not being able to tour affected us, and how has it affected our view of the band moving forward?
I think
can get kind of deep.
Being in a band is a sort of two-part. I mean, it's a very multifaceted thing, but I think the two biggest things that we do are perform live, and which is like the entertainment side, entertain, and then write and create music. I think losing out on one of those things makes you refocus, and for us, you know, we like to be productive, because another thing is we enjoy what we do. So, you know, in terms of not being able to play live, I think if anything, it just sort of, you know, forced us to create new music, you know, because if you have that time, then why not?
Absolutely.
Plus, I couldn't imagine not working on music for a year. It's as weird as it is to say. I can imagine now, having lived through it, not playing a
touring,
show for a year,
right?
But not creating music, like that's so strange to me. So I think it's really cool that we've been able to do it the way that we've been doing it.
Is there a song on the EP that we feel like is particularly unique, risky, or different for Of Mice and Men?
Maybe Anchor. I felt like that was kind of the oddball on the last one. It sort of pushed the boundaries a little bit, just because.
I think for us, being in it when we're writing, we think it's really different. But then when we like objectively listening to the final product, I don't think any of them are necessarily very outside the box. But I think when we were writing them, a lot of the different parts and sounds, we were like, oh, this is really outside of the box. But then like retrospectively looking at them, I don't think any of them are very like outside of the box.
This is so progressive.
I think one of my favorite parts of the 3 songs is in Timeless, after the first chorus, when Aaron does his falsetto like harmonies.
Yeah, those are sick.
To me, that specific little thing is like we don't have a lot of that, and I think that stuff like that is really cool, where that's sort of outside the box, you know, just like weird little parts like that, where it's not just a very structured, it's sort of Aaron sort of just, you know, what do you call, like in guitar it's called riffing, but a vocal fucking
vocals, it's called scatting.
Yeah, whatever.
Scatting.
Run, just a little vocal run or whatever. But I don't think retrospectively any of them are very like outside the box. Like, you know, Anchor sure. Anchor really reminds me of Back to Me kind of, and then Timeless kind of reminds me of some other stuff. But we definitely did play around with some new sounds and stuff, which is cool. But I think we could take that even a step further, like, to be honest.
This is one of the most asked questions. What happened to the breakdown at the end of Obsolete?
Huh?
Just kidding.
What breakdown? Huh?
That was a joke.
It's in there.
We forgot it. It was in there, and then we just forgot it.
It was a manufacturing problem.
We sent in the song with the breakdown, and then it came out, and there wasn't any breakdown, and we were like, "What the hell happened?"
And then we all broke down, and you all broke down.
No, but it's a fake out. It's a fun little fake out.
Fake out. Okay.
No, it's in there.
Oh,
it's just silent.
No, it's in there. It's just you gotta really want it.
Oh, okay. So we've discussed that there's some EPs in the works. Is each one gonna have its own feel, theme, sonically, lyrically, emotionally? Are they gonna coincide? Like, what's the vibe of what we're kind of creating right now?
They will coincide, but that is a big old secret, Tino, and you know that.
Right.
Who wrote that question?
I know you want to give the people the juicy tidbits now, but we gotta save it because it's happening. Because it's happening soon.
It's
happening soon.
That's what I thought, right?
And rumors about what's to come could blossom out of control and bloom into something that you do not want in your backyard.
Wow. It's springtime. Things are in bloom.